we're a global company. eToro is a global company. And so being able to deliver products in all jurisdictions for clients is really important for us. And so we just completely aligned with how we're thinking about things. And then Franklin's been a real leader in digital assets, and we think that blockchain is going to be critical to the future. And so that piece of that innovation piece really aligned as well.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Leaders. And today I'm joined by two industry giants, Yoni Assia, the CEO of eToro, and Jenny Johnson, the CEO of Franklin Templeton. We're diving into their new partnership and how it's reshaping investing for a new generation. Let's get started. Jenny, first of all, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's great to have you as well. And Yoni, yourself, how are you?
I'm very good, very good. Very excited about our new path as a public company.
Well, absolutely. Big things coming. And obviously, Yoni, you know Jenny already. Can you just explain that story?
Sure. So I'm obviously a big fan of capital markets, and as a fan of capital markets, always admired the trillion-dollar asset managers. Jenny is one of the top 20 managing this, and the CEO of one of the top 20 asset managers across the globe. One out of four women that manage the $20 trillion asset managers across the globe. And I had the great opportunity to meet her at the Milken event a couple of years ago. And I was inspired by how much she speaks and talks about innovation and blockchain. And that's before this year with where crypto is going. I asked, and Mike made the introduction, and very excited now about the new partnership with Franklin Templeton, enabling our investors in eToro to enjoy the very smart asset management talent at Franklin.
Absolutely. And Jenny, for some people, they might not know the whole story behind Franklin Templeton. Can you share a little bit about the company's history and why it's now such a big name in the finance world?
Sure. So it was actually started by my grandfather back in 1947. And my father is really the one who grew it. My grandfather also had a brokerage business. And so his older brother ran the brokerage business, and he wanted to do his own thing. And he said, "Hey, you have this little subsidiary. Let me run that." And at the time, it was $2.5 million in assets and $10,000 in revenue. So obviously grown a lot now. To 1.6 trillion. And today, we acquired Templeton. So we were Franklin funds then. We acquired Templeton in 1992. And they were the first sort of pioneers around global investing, and particularly in emerging markets too. Nobody was thinking about that. And that made us a true global company. And today we have offices in over 30 countries. We have clients in something like 160 countries. We manage assets from, obviously traditional kind of equities and fixed income, but also alternatives. So secondary private equity, venture, real estate, private credit, hedge funds. So we've got really a broad, I think one of the broadest capabilities of any asset manager in the industry, and really that global footprint. We have investment feet on the ground in 87% of the world's GDP. Because our view is, if you want to get insights, you have to be, a person who's in a local market, reading the local paper, speaking the local language. And so that's always been the philosophy at Franklin Templeton, to really gain insights. Because, what's your job as an investment manager? It's to find those opportunities. And you have to be, we think, local to do that, as well as from a client service standpoint. People want they want to feel like you're a local company. And so I think that's a pretty unique trait of Franklin Templeton.
Yeah, very, very good point, and an incredible backstory behind the company too. One not too dissimilar to Yoni's and eToro. Yoni, just on the partnership, and the eToro and Franklin Templeton strategy is designed to evolve over time and include elements of both growth and protection, especially for long-term investors. Can you walk through the thinking behind all of that, and particularly, by the way, why it's well suited for younger or first time investors?
Sure. So I think the portfolios that were devised by both our investment team and the Franklin investment team, we were thinking of how do we help our customers basically choose an investment for a longer period of time. A lot of our customers are starting to trade with eToro, starting with stocks, and now they can have the investment management expertise of Franklin within our smart portfolios to invest in portfolios towards 2030. So a longer time horizon than most of the average investments in eToro, which tilts between a fixed income and equity towards more of a fixed income over time. So very excited about this new opportunity. And we're actually launching it also as a capital guarantee. So we understand these strategies over time generate returns. And it's a great opportunity because a lot of our customers sometimes fear basically loss making or the volatility of the markets. And this is a great example of a product that we believe so wholeheartedly over time grows that we can actually give it as a capital guarantee smart portfolio to our customers.
Amazing. Jenny, I've got one question for you coming up. I almost want to ask what dogs you have, so you can answer that as well.
You know, I don't know if Yoni was at Milken when Mike asked me to participate in a happiness panel, as Mike does, right? And of course, I'm on stage with three people that are experts who have studied this, and I'm thinking, what do I know? And I thought I have to have a shtick. So I had my bulldog Tinkerbell with me, and so I brought Tinkerbell and I said, "Listen, they can tell you a bunch of stuff, but I'll tell you when you show up at home, your partner or spouse may or may not be happy to see you. Your children may or may not be happy to see you, but your dog is always going to be happy to see you. So if you want happiness, get a dog." So Tinkerbell actually has gotten kind of, people have gotten to know her pretty well. And now I've just added, and it's completely disrupted Tinkerbell's life, a Bernedoodle puppy. So Tinkerbell's not that happy about it. And so there's a little chaos going on in the background here. So I apologize.
No,
Control the puppy.
no. She's now eToro famous, which is great.
Yeah, there you go.
Speaking of eToro, Jenny, why did Franklin Templeton choose eToro, which is a social investing platform, as the partner to bring this strategy to the next gen?
Yeah. So a couple of reasons. I mean, one, I met Yanni and you know, his passion around what he's doing and what eToro is doing and the growth and to me, like you want to align with people who love what they do because those are the ones that are going to be successful at it because they're going to do the hard work that's required. And to have that vision around, really bringing a social investing platform to engage younger people to get them investing. I personally, one of my biggest passions is of all the investment decisions you could make, just investing is the most important one. And I'm just going to give an example. If I save $5,000 a year, and it could be $500 a year, but $5,000 a year from age 20 to 30. So just say for 10 years, I will have more money than a person who starts at age 30 and saves for 30 years until they're 60 years old by the time I get to 60 because of the power of compounding. And so, what Yanni's doing and what eToro is doing is they are engaging people to say, get in early, however it is, and we want to engage you. And let's face it, to do good oftentimes requires capital to do it. And so creating that social, investing platform where you can be talking to your peers, but also you can deploy your capital in a way that is personally passionate for you, I think is really important. And so number one, loved the mission. Two, loved the passion around it. Three, we're a global company. eToro is a global company. And so being able to deliver products in all jurisdictions for clients is really important for us. And so we just completely aligned with how we're thinking about things. And then Franklin's been a real leader in digital assets, and we think that blockchain is going to be critical to the future. And so that piece of that innovation piece really aligned as well.
Yeah, couldn't
Thank
agree
you
more.
very much.
Couldn't agree more. You've also taken models that were built for big pensions and made them available for everyday users. What changes were needed to make those work for the Gen Z or on like a mobile platform like eToro?
Yeah, like when my grandfather got into this business, the reason mutual funds were created was because the average investor didn't have the ability to access the equity markets. They couldn't get a diversified portfolio. They could maybe buy. They didn't have fractional shares. There were a lot of limits, and so somebody came up with the idea. Let's create these pooled investment vehicles so we can truly democratize access. To me, the beauty today is that technology exists to actually create portfolios for an individual that are the same types of portfolios that just institutional investors with billions and billions of dollars have access to. And so what we set out to do is really to provide the building blocks and then have them, customize. And that's where our teams work together, depending on an individual's needs, right? And so to me, that is really what we're set out to do, is to say, let's ensure that every investor has the opportunity to access a portfolio that historically has only been to the world's largest investors, and really democratizing investing.
Yeah, that change is massive and so important, and I think such a good point. And Yoni, coming to you, I mean, during eToro's IPO, long-term investing and diversification were big themes. How does this new product sort of bring that promise to life now?
So I think we have just also rolled out the recurring investments or saving plans, which means our customers can actually do recurring deposit from their bank into an investment vehicle. And I think that this type of partnership, so investing actually with a long-term horizon, maybe create those investment plans either to yourself or even to your kids on the eToro platform, I think represent a different mindset from where our customers started with eToro, from actually just buying stocks and buying crypto. And I think it's a great opportunity for us to help them plan for the future. As our customers are now, average age is about 35 and growing, to make sure that they continue and accumulate wealth and grow that wealth with us across trading, investing, and savings and wealth management. And I'm sure it'll be exciting to see our ads for recurring investments into Franklin Templeton, a smart portfolio in eToro, in German and French, and in Australia and Singapore and Abu Dhabi and the UK. So again, the global aspect of selling expertise of $1 trillion asset manager on eToro for long-term growth of assets, I think is a core part of what we want to develop eToro into.
Fantastic. Jenny, Franklin Templeton, I think it's fair to say, see trends before most. What sort of shifts are you noticing in how people invest at the moment, especially when we talk about AI, crypto, and digital assets and tools?
Sure. There's one thing I say that, like, with all the changes and trends that have happened, one thing hasn't changed since, Franklin Templeton started in, 1947, and that is that people have individual goals that are very personal to them, right? So, whatever it is, I want to save money for college. I want to save for retirement. I want to be able to buy a first home. Those things haven't changed. What has changed is the tools that we have to actually be able to customize portfolios that are much more designed to be able to deliver the outcomes that people are looking for. And so I think that's what gets me real excited, is kind of that personalization component that's coming. And then what's happened is you now have the ability to have much broader portfolio exposure to other types of things. So, one of the things that happened in the financial crisis is people realized, wait a second, fixed income and equity were supposed to be uncorrelated, which meant if one went down, the other one was protected. And then suddenly people realized, wait a second, I had credit risk that I thought was just in my fixed income portfolio that's in my equity portfolio. And so they both ended up dropping. And that was kind of a shock to a lot of people. And so now what's happening is you can provide, again, this is about access to often sort of uncorrelated that institutions always had, but now individuals can have access to, whether it's gold, whether it's Bitcoin, whether I think you're going to start to see with crypto assets, these cultural type assets where you're going to be able to invest in a portfolio of art and own a piece of it. And they will be uncorrelated to a lot of the traditional investment types. So it's this ability to customize a portfolio much more to your individual goals. And there's more ingredients that can go into that because you have more access to that. So I think that's really interesting. I think, there's a lot of people who want the self-directed component, right? They want to be able to pull the trigger, but they want a little help on saying, help me shape kind of where I should think about this. And so I think that's a big trend where it isn't just let me go out and buy individual stocks. Let me have you help me think about what that portfolio is. And then I think what's we haven't really seen, but it's going to be big, is AI is going to play a big component in this. You're going to be able to use natural language processing to say, all right, create 3 portfolios for me, one around kind of retirement, one around, I want to save for in 2 years, I want to do a trip of a lifetime. So, I need this amount of money. So build a portfolio that has a 2-year duration on it. And then I'd like to save for a down payment on a house, whatever. Help me construct those portfolios and think about it. Like whatever it is, AI interface is going to help you talk about what your needs are and then also build those kind of portfolios. And so I think that's very early stages, but I think that comes.
It's actually now less early stages because we actually just launched today our AI assistant, which enables you to almost do everything you just described together. So Tori's launching today, which is on the back end, connects, by the way, to basically all of the data sources we have in eToro. And we enabled our professional network of investors, the 3,500 popular investors on eToro, to actually build strategies, so actually connect with AI and use vibe coding tools to actually create strategies that define, hey, this is the strategy. I want an AI agent 24/7 looking at this strategy, and then eventually connect these strategies that are built or purpose-built by our pro investors and connect that to the Tori assistant, which can help the mass market basically find the right products from themselves. So,
see, Yanni, you didn't even prep me on that. I had no idea that was coming along. You and I, see, right on the same page.
Yeah, look at that dream team, dream partnership. This is what we want to see. And Yoni, actually, if I may, so you mentioned the Tori assistant there as well, but you've got the tokenized assets, the 24/5 trading. So eToro have been on a bit of a roll at the moment. What sort of sparked that wave of innovation, and what's most exciting about all of that for you?
I think the biggest thing happening is like we're just able to accelerate our product velocity with AI. So what we've been seeing in eToro out of the 1,500 eTorians is that using AI, we can just run much faster and deliver higher product velocity to our customers. And I'm a computer geek myself, so now suddenly I can actually vibe code things. So I'm requiring our team to open APIs for myself and for eTorians. So it's really mind-blowing how AI can transform so much faster development. And the other part, which again, I see very much eye to eye to Jenny, I think AI today in the hands of retail investors democratizes much more of just sort of self-directed investing. Suddenly our customers have the tools that 2 years ago were accessible only to the best and largest quantitative hedge funds in the US, being able to create long-short strategies, all the way to the fact that AI is getting better and better at also both understanding our customers, as well as making very smart investment advice or investment decisions. So it's quite amazing to see, like just the last 6 months, how much smarter AI has become, both as a developer and also as potentially the future advisor or financial planner for our customers.
Yeah, it's incredible what it can do now. And like you said, it's only going to get better with more experience, isn't it? It's crazy. Jenny, just circling back to crypto, obviously you've done some pretty bold moves with the tokenized funds, the blockchain integration on all of that. But what's your your view on crypto? I imagine it's positive, but has it always been? And how do you think it sort of will shape the future for younger investors?
Yeah, so it's funny. I always say so many of the early conversations of crypto would go down immediately into Bitcoin and a debate about Bitcoin. And I always say, look, Bitcoin's is the greatest distraction here from what is one of the most interesting technological innovations in financial services. And Bitcoin, I always say it's a bit more like religion. You can debate it back and forth, and you're not going to convince one or the other. There's value in that, but put that aside for a second and look at what you could do with crypto. Just think of it as a technology that does really interesting things. Um, my favorite example, this one I don't think has worked that well, but it gives you insight into what's coming because it will work. It is so if you think about what crypto blockchain does, it does three things. It has a source of truth. In other words, if I own the token, I have all rights to the token. Number two, it has the ability to execute smart contracts. So much of financial services is, the lawyers get together, you put it on a piece of paper, somebody sits in the back office, hey, has this moved in this direction, so we should collect our collateral or whatever. That all gets programmed in the token. And then finally, it has a payment mechanism, and it could be, a fraction of a cent in that payment mechanism. So why does that matter? My favorite example is Rihanna's NFT, where I think if you owned it, you got access to 0.00033% royalties of one of her songs. Well, how does that work? Well, the streaming service plays the song, and it kicks off the smart contract. It's kicked off and says, "Oh, Yanni's a big Rihanna fan. He's got that crypto, that NFT in his wallet, and I owe him a fraction of a cent." That could not happen without the technology. And historically, what happened was song royalties were owned by institutions because you as an individual couldn't invest in that. And so this is going to open up investment opportunities that the average person didn't have access to in the past. And by the way, your portfolio is going to be able to express whatever your personal views are and your personal passions. So I think that's really cool. In addition to that, the technology allows the individual to participate in things that used to just be done by the institutions, right? You needed a gatekeeper or an institution to do certain things. You can stake your assets and get a return on that. You can borrow assets. And so it's just going to enable a lot more self-directed behaviors that historically actually required an institution and come in and do those things for you.
Yeah, Yoni, just a quick side question: are you a fan of Rihanna? Is that your music?
Not of Rihanna necessarily, but definitely of the future Jenny talked about and the tokenization. And we started our journey in tokenization back in 2012. So immediately as I saw Bitcoin, I wrote the Colored Coins white paper, which eventually sort of Vitalik took it to build Ethereum as a better system for tokenization. And very excited now to see tokenization coming to the stock markets. And we believe there's the $100 trillion opportunity of tokenizing not only the stock markets, the bond markets, money market funds, investment strategies, and basically a lot of the private company shares as well as real estate. So a lot of the world's assets, if not the majority, are going to get tokenized. And I believe that's a huge opportunity both for eToro and for Franklin.
Yeah, absolutely. Rihanna, we're sorry if you're listening to this. Let's talk about.
Well, he's a closet Rihanna fan. He
Yeah,
just
I
doesn't want to
think
admit
so.
it.
I think so. Absolutely. Jenny, let's talk a little bit about what you consider to be some, risks out there. You've mentioned before US deficits, supply chains, those kind of things. And when considering that, how do views like that at any stage shape how you would build portfolios?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I look, a lot of people will say, does the dollar get threatened as a reserve currency because of US deficits? No, I'm not saying that. And the reason is, where else are you going to go, right? There's tremendous benefits to the dollar. It's the law of numbers, right? You could say, well, actually, trade that's done in the yuan, the Chinese yuan, or the renminbi is up 50%. Well, it's gone from 4 to 6%, right, of global trade. So it's the dollar is still the reserve currency. The challenge is, as the U.S. has grown their deficits, and this is a concern because this is actually a global phenomenon. Usually, countries should spend when there are difficult economic times, so you stimulate your economy. But the G7, with the exception of Germany, all has debt to GDP 100% or greater. That's the kind of spending that you don't want to do that during good times because you don't have any dry powder for the bad times. And so as the U.S. has grown this deficit from, I think in 2007, we were at 9 trillion. We're now $33 trillion, which means that we have to issue treasuries, which means we need to find buyers, which means that dollars that it could be invested in other places have to be attracted to be invested in U.S. treasuries. And so it's not that I don't think that the U.S. will get funded with their deficit. It's the problem is, what does it crowd out from your other investment opportunities? And that to me is a real concern. And it will have then impact companies' ability to borrow, to invest in their business. It will have impact on private equity firms who, historically their returns were based on cash being essentially free. Well, now they have a carry cost that's probably 7% or greater. That means they have to get higher investment returns just to be able to get the same historical investment. So that's really kind of the warning that I, put out there, is just it is a concern, and you have to therefore look at the companies that you're investing in and ensure that they have the cash flow to handle their debt. And I think I might have to introduce you guys to my puppy who's standing next to me and squeaking.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Come here. Come
This
here.
is what
Come here.
everyone listening has been waiting for, I reckon, Jenny.
Hold on for a sec.
Yeah.
Up here. Okay. This is Koya.
Oh, hello.
This is Koya. She is 12 weeks old and a terror.
Oh.
A terror, but very sweet.
What does
Yes,
what does she think about Bitcoin?
Koya is a rebel, so I think she'd probably be pro Bitcoin.
Love it. Absolutely.
My kids, I have 5 kids. They're all asking me to get a dog. I said I need the smallest one to grow a bit more. She's now 4, and then I tell them, are you actually gonna take care of the dog, or is it gonna be me and mom? So let's see.
I remember with my kids when they were young, they wanted to get a cat, and I made them sign a contract as to what they were going to have to do. Let me just tell you, they did not fulfill their contract.
Oh dear. I feel left out. I don't have a dog, but I want one now. Yoni, let's just talk a little bit about the eToro platform. I'm sure a lot of people listening to this, by the way, know all about it, but obviously on eToro, anyone can copy our professional investors. And how does that social investing model potentially change how you think about building products and helping users?
I think eventually it's all about learning from very smart people, right? So to generate returns in the market, my view is I have to learn from the smartest people in the world, whether it's people at Franklin or Jenny or Warren Buffett or the top hedge funds in the US. And I believe that talent of finding the right investments is actually uncorrelated. So a great insight here is you want to find uncorrelated investments and actually smart talent that generates consistent results over time potentially is uncorrelated to one another. So the fact that on eToro you can find everything from retirement or asset accumulation, long-term view of investing in a smart portfolio of Franklin, or invest in one of the 30, now actually 4,000 popular investors on eToro, or invest in a long-short smart portfolio on eToro inspired by quantitative hedge funds. That's the way I view how can you basically create a portfolio of high performance but multiple uncorrelated strategies. And we couldn't do it without so many people basically provide that insight into the platform. And I think also it's a great way for us to bring in that local talent. So exactly like Jenny said, how they built Franklin for institutional investors. We have hundreds of popular investors in Australia trading Australian shares on the platform, and in France trading French shares. And I have no idea how to choose and invest in companies in Germany or Italy, but I have hundreds of popular investors in Spain and Italy and Germany and the UK who are investing locally. And I think finding that local talent who are passionate about capital markets, and people who become popular investors and professional investors are always passionate about capital markets, finding them with that local expertise and that industry expertise is a way basically for us to to basically go to a sharing economy model of what Franklin has built over time, more for institutions and obviously high net individuals and RIAs.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, I couldn't agree more about the all parts of the world. For anyone listening to this that wants to know what's going on in France about their stocks there, you have the popular investors that constantly talk about it on the feed, and you can ask them questions, and invaluable, really, really is. Jenny, last couple of questions of the podcast, and eToro has just launched the Loud Investing Project, which is a new initiative which is aimed at trying to close the gender gap by encouraging more women to invest and making their voices heard in financial markets. From your perspective, as someone who's led one of the most respected firms in finance in the world, and as a woman who's helped shape the industry, what's the one thing that needs to change, in your opinion, most urgently to truly empower more women to take control of their financial futures?
Women investors are actually very good investors when you actually look at the underlying data. I think that oftentimes it's there's almost an assumption, oh, I'm not going to be good at this. And, you know, as I've had women ask me about their, they'll hit a point in their life, either they go through a divorce or they're widowed or whatever, where they're suddenly thrown into having to think about, their investing in their financial situation. And my advice is you just use your instinct. You'd actually be surprised as far as your instinct around what is, sort of logical about from an investment standpoint. So that's probably the most important advice, which is just have the confidence to actually be in the game. Don't be afraid. As I said at the start, the most important investment decision you make is to actually be in the market. That is absolutely the most important decision. Everything from there is just marginal, benefit and returns beyond that. So I think it's as basic as that.
Yeah, and actually,
I love it. I love, by the way, I might steal this as a tagline, the just invest.
yeah, I love it.
So this might become the tagline of eToro, just invest.
Just invest. But it's true. I mean, it's crazy when you look at the
100%.
power of the
100%.
compounding. You just,
Just invest.
I mean, like you said, Jenny, compound is the eighth wonder of the world, isn't it? It's just incredible what it does over time, and
absolutely.
Absolutely remarkable. Well, look, that brings us to the back end of the podcast. A massive thank you to Jenny Johnson and Yoni Assia. Big things ahead, of course, for the two of you, and eToro and Franklin Templeton as well. We're teaming up to make investing simpler, smarter and more accessible. Yoni and Jenny and your dog, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. Yoni, great to see you.